Hey guys, welcome to my channel Admin. In this video I will show you how to install DHCP role on Windows Server 2019. So basically DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and it is used to automate the process of configuring devices on IP networks. In short, it is used to assign IPs to the domain joined machines. So it works on DORA process. I won't bore you explaining the DORA process, but if you want to learn about it, you can check the link in the description box. For now, let's install and configure DHCP role. Alright, so I am going to log into my 2016 server. This is my domain controller. Okay, let me open the server manager. Go to let's install DHCP feature. Go to where roles and features. Alright, role based. I want to install on this DC itself. Okay, I want to select DHCP server role. It's not a feature, it's a role. Let's click on next. Restart the destination server if required. Yes, click on install. Okay, it should not take much time. Alright, it seems like this is completed. Once completed, you need to complete the DHCP configuration. Let's click on this. Okay, click on next. It is asking you use the following user credential. Okay, I'm going to use my admin credential. Click on commit. Creating security groups done. Authorizing DHCP server done. Okay, let's close this. Alright, our deployment is completed. Let's go ahead and launch DHCP console. Alright, administrative tools, open DHCP. Alright, so the console looks same like we've been seeing on initial Windows server, and alright, it has IPv4 and IPv6. So I'm going to do the configuration. I'm going to create a scope for IPv4b. So what I'll do is let's right click on IPv4, new scope. Next, we need to name the scope NS lab DHCP scope 1, no description. Next. Alright, here you need to enter the range of addresses that the scope will distribute to the domain join machine. So I'm going to provide as 10 dot. Alright, my num log is off. 10.0.0. I leave the first 5 addresses for my domain controller, and 10.0.0.200 is okay. Alright, let me give this subnet mask. Okay, 24. Alright, so here you'll specify the range of the IP addresses. Let's click on next. Okay, here you'll add the exclusion if you have specified any range. Suppose if I had specified 10.10.0.0 or maybe 1, what I could do is I can just exclude 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.5 for my server list. So my DHCP server won't assign these 5 or these 4 to 5 IP addresses to any of the domain join machine. Alright, okay, we are good. Let's click on next. Alright, so this is, we need to specify the lease duration. So basically lease duration is nothing but it's the time that the client will be given the IP address, and after the lease is expired, this IP address will be returned to the DHCP pool, and once the machine is online, the an IP addresses would be assigned to the machine again. Alright, so we'll just keep this as default 8 days. Let's click on next. Okay, here it is asking me if you want to configure DNS servers. Yes, I want to configure this option. Let's click on next. Okay, enter to add an IP address for the router used by client. Okay, here we need to enter the default gateway of a network. So I just enter my default gateway 10.0.0. It's 254. Yeah, let's click on add. Click on next. Here you need to specify the domain name and DNS server. So as you can see, it has already fetched my both the DNS servers. So I have 2DC in here, and I have installed DNS role on both the DCs. So it has automatically fetched both of my DNS server. But if you have any additional DNS server, you can add it here. So the domain name is also specified in here. All right, we are good. Let's click on next. Win server. So basically wins is a older name resolution technique that was used before DNS. We are not going to use this. Let's click on next. It's asking if you want to activate the scope now. Yes. Finish. Alright, my scope is created. Alright, this is my scope name. If you want to make any changes to the scope, you can right click on the scope and go to properties. Alright, so here you can make any changes you need. Second is the DNS changes, and if you want to disable this, you can disable. So basically what this will do is it says dynamic update DNS record only if requested by the DHCP client. So what this will do is once your DHCP server assigns an IP address to a host, so that record will be automatically created in DNS. So if you want to uncheck this, you can disable the settings, but I would like to keep this on. Alright, let's click on OK. This is my address pool 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.200. This is the range of my IPs which will be excluded from the distribution. Address leases, I can see nothing in here because none of the addresses are leased to any of my machine. This is reservation. Here what you can do is you can reserve an IP addresses. You can reserve an IP address for any of the machine or any of the server. Let's reserve an IP address in here, but keep in mind, to reserve an IP address you would also need the MAC address of that machine. So let's choose the reservation name. I'm going to reserve an IP for NS lab DC02 10.0.0.2. MAC address, I would need the MAC address. Let me reserve it for NS lab DC1 10.0.0.1. Let me get the MAC address. IP config all. Alright, my Wi-Fi. Alright, this is my MAC address. Okay, description, subother types, both is fine. Close. Alright, so a reservation has been added for my domain controller, and the same you can see under address lease. It also says the lease expiration is inactive because it's already reserved. Okay, now since we have configured DHCP scope option, okay, here you can see the options that we have provided: the router, our default gateway, our DNS server, and a DNS domain name. Policies, you can create any additional policies that is required by your client or by the company. Okay, so since we have already configured DHCP role on a server, let's see if that works on a workstation. Alright, so this is my Windows 10 workstation. This is domain join workstation, and we can see here, let's see the IP address first. IP config. Alright, IP address is 10.0.0.30. Alright, and next ncpa.cpl. I want to show you the IP configuration. Yes, open this. cpa.cpl. Alright, this is much faster. Alright, let's go to properties. Okay, as you can see here, I have given the IP address manually. What I'll do is I'll just select obtain an IP address automatically and obtain DNS server automatically. Let's click on OK, close. Alright, let's refresh it. Now let's check the IP address. CMD IP config. Alright, so you see the IP address, it's taking 10.0.0.6. The gateway is also defined the same as we defined in the DHCP configuration. So this is the first IP of the address. If you remember, we have excluded 10.0.0.1 to 5. So that's the reason it has given the next IP address available, which is 0.6. Next thing what we'll check is, let's go to IP config all. Here you can check the DHCP server. The DHCP server is 10.0.0.1. My DNS servers, the one that we specified in the DHCP while doing the DHCP configuration. Alright, so this is how you configure DHCP server on Windows Server 2019. So if you want to learn more about Windows issue or Windows Server, you can check out my channel, and if you like the video, please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Thank you.